Kaijus, welcome back to my channel Kaiju Bites, where I do food reviews and also kaiju reviews. So today we're actually going to review 3 comic books related to the MonsterVerse universe, which are the movies that relate to the newer Godzilla films. So Godzilla 2014, Kong Skull Island, and also Godzilla King of the Monsters. So I have to say, I'm not a huge comic book reader. I've never been a huge comic book fan, not because of any lackingness of comics. I just never grew up reading comics. But I do enjoy them from time to time. And so I was super interested in picking up these 3 comic books. And I didn't realize with the whole quarantine and coronavirus that it was such a hard thing for the local comic book shops to get comic books in. So I actually ordered them from Tashi Station. Yes, the comic book shop is called Tashi Station. It's a really awesome comic book shop in Fairfax, Virginia. So go check them out if you're local and in Virginia. And they were super awesome. They ordered them and they sent me updates, and I was able to go pick them up. And they also do curbside pickup. They also do delivery. So those are some options if you want to stay quarantined but need your comic book fix if you're in the Northern Virginia area. So the first comic book that we'll talk about is Godzilla Awakenings. It is the first comic book, and it's a standalone. So like if you've never seen the first, you don't really need to read it to it doesn't really add anything to the first movie, but it does show a little bit of Serizawa, how he got into Monarch. You know, it talks about his father and how his father was one of the first ones that realized that there was another kaiju out there, namely Godzilla. They were trying to find another kaiju. I didn't really like the design of the kaiju. I felt it was kind of just looked like a black blob that flew. And the story was a little bit more chaotic in this, and I don't know, it just seemed a little hashed together, and it wasn't that strong. Positives were, it was interesting that we get to know a little bit more about Serizawa, but I feel like the art in the story was rather chaotic, so it wasn't my favorite. But I do have a digital code to give away. It comes with a digital code. So that if you're interested, just in the comments, answer this question: what is your favorite kaiju? And I will put you in for a drawing, and I'll announce the winner in a week. So check that out and let me know what your favorite kaiju is. I have to say, I probably have to give this probably like a 1.5 out of 5 Kaiju Bites. I just really wasn't really that into it. And the art and the story, nothing did it for me for this comic book. Next up, Skull Island, The Birth of Kong. This one, like the movies, is probably the stronger one out. Kind of like the MonsterVerse movies, I feel like Skull Island was the strongest movie, and I feel like the comic book, it was the strongest of the 3. I like the story, I like the visuals a lot better. There are parts of the story, it is a comic book, so it's they can't really flesh out a lot of detail. So they kind of just expect the reader just to believe it, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a Godzilla film. It's a Godzilla book. I'll run with it. My imagination can run with it, even though I don't really think it's plausible, or it's kind of weird. So in Skull Island, in the movie, you meet Houston Brooks, and you meet I forgot the Asian scientist, Lynn. I think her last name is Lynn. I can't remember her first name. Apparently they get married after the events of Skull Island and have a son, and they named him Aaron. And Aaron Brooks decides that he doesn't like that his father and Monarch kept Skull Island a secret. So he's very, very angry and very upset, and wants to make sure that Kong is still king and still keeping track, and I don't know why. That was one of the parts of the story. I'm like, why are you so mad? If Kong wasn't in control of the island, those skull crawlers would have been crawling around the earth. But anyways, that's one of the elements you're just okay. But I have to say, I like the visuals. You can see a little bit more of the island fleshed out. You see the natives fleshed out a little bit more. And you also get to see a little bit more of what can kill you on the island, not just like the little spider, well, not the little spider, the big ass spiders, and you know, Kong, and also the skull crawlers. And so yeah, this island's not friendly. Definitely don't wanna like set up your all-inclusive resort on this island. But I have to say, I enjoyed the story mostly, and I don't know, I liked it. I give it a 3.5 kaiju bats out of 5, just because there's like some elements of the story that it just makes the reader like, just believe it, run with it. And I'm like, okay, I'll run with it, but so yeah, but good. Lastly, we have Godzilla Aftershock. So this is kind of after Godzilla 2014. I'm not sure how much, because I think there's like 5-year difference in between. So like I think like Madison is still a little bit young. I think like they just kind of lost their son. Emma is in this, and this is after Godzilla and it fights the Mutos. And I believe that you kind of like, what I like about the story is that it fleshes out Emma's character a little bit, because like in Godzilla King of Monsters, she's just all cuckoo, like she's just all woo. But it kind of shows how the beginnings of her downward spiral and her grief, and how her grief is like making her think a little bit crazier. Like she's pouring herself into her work, but it's not really healthy. Like she never really learned how to grieve and to cope with the death of her son. And so it kind of shows that. You have Tywin Lannister. What was his character? Jonah, I forgot his name. His last name in the movie, or Alan? No, his name is Alan Jonah. I think that's what his name in the movie is. It has kind of an introduction between, I think, Emma and Jonah. You don't really like see them like talking like, hey, let's release all the kaijus in the universe. It just doesn't go into that. But he's like, he kind of pops up and is like, I'm a bad guy, and I'm gonna leave the screen. I'm a bad guy, and I leave the screen. And it's just like kind of like, what? What? Where does he come from? Like, how does he escape? Like, what? Like, so that, like, part of the, like, the comic, I'm just like, okay, whatever. Like, he's, it's kind of like a plot device. And just, that was, like, the one part I was just like, eh. But, all in all, I do like how they flesh out Emma's character, and, you know, she's still not, like, the greatest character in the universe, but you do get a sense of her downward spiral in this. And, I mean, the art's pretty good. The story, you get to see a little bit of kaijus, and, you know, like, they have the big mama kaiju, like, the big Muto, that you kind of see the glimpse of in the King of Monsters, except for it looks a little bit different in the comic books. But, you know, I think the artists sometimes, you know, they get a little crazy. But, other than that, I mean, the story's not that bad. Definitely a lot better than Awakening. So, did I already give it a rating? I don't know, 3.5 kaiju? No, I want to give it 3.5. I'll just give it a straight 3 kaiju bites out of 5. The story's not that bad, it's not that great, but it is enjoyable. And so, all in all, I like, these were good, decent comics. I mean, I wasn't a fan of Awakening, but it was an enjoyable afternoon of reading comics. So, you know, that was good. I enjoyed myself. I definitely don't regret buying them, and I'll definitely add them to my collection of kaiju comic books, which hopefully will grow in the upcoming years as the MonsterVerse fleshes out. And I don't know, I'm pretty excited to see what the MonsterVerse universe is going to give us, especially with, is it Godzilla vs. Kong or Kong vs. Godzilla? I'm not really sure what the title is, but I'm looking forward to that movie. So, like and subscribe, join me for future videos, and go check these comic books out, and also check out Tashi Station. Go get your power converters.